Zoreth, the supreme commander of the alien race, sat in the dimly lit war room aboard his massive flagship. A holographic projection of Earth flickered before him, its blue and green surface looking fragile, almost delicate, floating in the vast blackness of space. He sneered as he watched the transmission of Earth's latest attempts at space exploration. The primitive ships and outdated technology, nothing more than a joke in the eyes of his advanced species. The humans, with all their so-called ingenuity, were still at the mercy of the stars, struggling to even make it beyond their solar system. Zoreth turned to his war council, a group of his most trusted officers, and with a deep, mocking tone, he spoke. "Humans," Zoreth said, shaking his head. "They are nothing but insects trying to touch the stars. Their technology is nothing more than a child's toy compared to ours." His laughter echoed through the room, causing the council to join in, each one sharing the same disdain for humanity. In Zoreth's eyes, the humans were beneath them, too weak to pose any real threat. His alien empire, vast and powerful, had conquered dozens of worlds, and Earth was no different. He dismissed the humans' efforts, confident that any confrontation would be brief and effortless. But on Earth, far away from the alien empire's reach, things were taking a different turn. The World Alliance Council, representing the United Nations of Earth, was in a state of urgent turmoil. Despite all their advancements, the humans had never faced an enemy like the one now approaching their planet. Their space colony, a small but vital outpost in the far reaches of the solar system, had just been destroyed in a sudden, violent attack. The alien fleet, a small scouting force, had come from nowhere and wiped out the colony without warning. News of the attack spread quickly across Earth, sending waves of panic through the population. The World Alliance knew this was no ordinary raid. The destruction of the colony was not just an isolated incident. It was a declaration of war. The aliens, whoever they were, had the power to destroy anything they wished. Humanity had been caught off guard. The message was clear. Earth was next. In a hastily called emergency meeting, the World Alliance gathered their top scientists, military leaders, and strategists. Tension filled the room as they discussed the alien threat. Most were in agreement. Earth was hopelessly unprepared to fight a war against such a powerful enemy. "Do we even have a chance?" General Roderick, Earth's top military commander, asked, his voice thick with frustration. "Our fleets are no match for these aliens. They wiped out our colony with ease. What do we do now?" The room fell silent as the weight of their situation sank in. It seemed as though all hope was lost. Earth's space fleet, though advanced for human standards, was no match for the alien technology that had just annihilated their colony. The alien ships were sleek, powerful, and equipped with devastating weapons far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. The council was at a loss. But then, just as the meeting was about to fall into despair, a voice cut through the silence. "We have something," said Dr. Elias, a renowned scientist and engineer, standing up from his seat. His voice was steady, yet there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "A project we've been working on, something that could turn the tide in our favor." The council turned toward him, a mix of skepticism and curiosity on their faces. Dr. Elias had always been known for his bold ideas, but this was different. The fate of Earth rested on whatever secret he was about to reveal. Dr. Elias walked to a large screen at the front of the room and typed a few commands. The screen flickered to life, displaying a sleek, futuristic spacecraft. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built before. The ship was massive, almost monstrous in its design, with sharp angles and a deep metallic sheen. It had no visible weapons at first glance, but Dr. Elias's next words sent a chill down everyone's spine. "This is the Titan X," Dr. Elias said, his voice low and filled with pride. "A secret project, funded by the World Alliance for the past 5 years. It's humanity's last hope." The room fell silent as the implications of his words began to sink in. The Titan X was not just a warship, it was a technological marvel. Built with cutting-edge cloaking technology, advanced artificial intelligence, and a power core capable of generating more energy than anything humanity had ever dreamed of, the Titan X was humanity's response to the alien threat. But there was a catch. This ship is still in its final testing phases, Dr. Elias continued. It has not yet been battle-tested. But if we're going to survive, we have no choice but to deploy it now. We'll need all the resources we can gather, and we need to do it fast. The Council was stunned. The Titan X was their only chance, and it was barely ready for deployment. Yet, there was no other option. The alien fleet was on its way, and Earth had to act now, or risk annihilation. The decision was made quickly. Captain Arden Voss, a seasoned officer with years of combat experience, was chosen to command the Titan X. He was no stranger to leadership in dire situations, and now he would lead humanity's final stand against the alien invaders. As Captain Voss stood before the gathered officials, ready to board the Titan X, the gravity of the situation hit him. The mission was not just about victory, it was about survival. And the fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. All hands, prepare for launch, Captain Voss ordered, his voice unwavering. We're going to show them that Earth isn't the weak, defenseless world they think it is. We're going to make them regret ever underestimating us. The Titan X's engines roared to life, and with a flash of light, the warship blasted off into space, its cloaking device activating as it vanished into the void. The battle for Earth had begun, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity's determination could not be so easily crushed. The cold steel walls of the underground facility hummed with activity. It was a place where some of Earth's brightest minds had come together to work on a project so secret that even most of the highest-ranking officials didn't know about it. In a hidden base beneath the surface of the Earth, scientists and engineers from across the planet had been tirelessly working for years to create something that would turn the tide against an enemy they barely understood. And now, after countless sleepless nights and millions of calculations, the Titan X was ready. It had started as a dream, a theoretical project born out of desperation and fear. When the alien threat first became known to humanity, a desperate need for a game-changing weapon became apparent. Earth needed something to fight back, something that could outsmart and outmaneuver the aliens. Thus, the Titan X was conceived. The ship itself was a marvel of engineering, combining humanity's best advancements with concepts that were previously thought to be too far-fetched. Its design was sleek, unlike any human spacecraft before it. The outer hull shimmered with a dark, metallic finish, a color that made it blend seamlessly with the darkness of space. But it wasn't just its appearance that set it apart. The real magic lay inside. The Titan X was equipped with a revolutionary cloaking device, one that could make it nearly invisible to enemy sensors. The aliens' advanced technology could track most human ships, but the cloaking system on the Titan X would render it nearly undetectable. This device wasn't just a passive shield. It actively bent light around the ship, making it a ghost in the void of space. Alongside the cloaking device, the Titan X was powered by a quantum AI system. This wasn't your average artificial intelligence. It was far beyond anything Earth had ever created, processing information at a rate millions of times faster than a human brain could. It was designed to think, adapt, and learn in real time. A weaponized intelligence that could make decisions faster than any human commander could dream of. With this AI guiding the ship, the Titan X would have an edge against even the most advanced alien forces. But as advanced as the Titan X was, it was still untested in combat. The ship had been built in secret, and its first true test would be the most dangerous humanity had ever faced. The entire fate of Earth rested on this experimental warship. The world had placed its trust in one person, one commander, to bring the ship into battle. Captain Arden Voss was not the first choice for this mission. In fact, many higher-ranking officers had turned down the offer to command the Titan X, unwilling to risk their careers and their lives on an untested weapon. But Captain Voss was different. He had proven himself time and time again in the most difficult of situations, and when the World Alliance turned to him, he didn't hesitate. Arden was a young commander, but he had earned the respect of his peers. He was quick-thinking, adaptable, and unafraid to face impossible odds. Still, no one could ignore the weight of the situation. The words of his superior officer, General Roderick, echoed in his mind as he stood before the massive warship for the first time. Captain Voss, General Roderick had said solemnly, "If this fails, humanity's last hope will burn in the void. There will be no second chances. Are you ready for this?" It was a heavy burden to bear. Arden nodded silently, not trusting his voice to speak. Deep down, he knew the stakes. If he failed, humanity wouldn't get another shot. Earth would be left at the mercy of an alien force they couldn't comprehend. But Arden wasn't the kind of man who backed down from a challenge. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge of the Titan X, the weight of the responsibility settling on his shoulders like a crushing force. The crew was small but efficient, each one handpicked for their skills. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel, all were working together in a way that had never been seen before. They all knew that this was a mission of survival. They all understood that the moment the Titan X left Earth's atmosphere, there would be no turning back. As the Titan X's engines powered up, a low hum filled the chamber. The sound was almost comforting in its smoothness, as if the ship itself was alive and ready for the battle ahead. Arden stood at the helm, his hands gripping the control panel, his gaze fixed on the view ahead. The stars outside looked peaceful, unaware of the war that was about to unfold. All systems online, the ship's AI confirmed, its voice calm and composed, yet tinged with a certain edge of urgency. Cloaking device fully engaged. Quantum AI system operational. Arden gave a sharp nod. Prepare for launch. The Titan X's massive engines roared to life, sending vibrations through the ship as it slowly ascended from the Earth's surface. For a moment, Arden's heart pounded in his chest, but then it steadied. This was it. The Titan X was the last line of defense against an enemy too powerful to ignore. The stakes had never been higher. As the ship broke through Earth's atmosphere, a wave of emotions rushed over Arden. His mind raced through every possible scenario, every risk, every possible failure. But he had to focus. The world was counting on him. With a final glance at the planet below, the Titan X soared into the depths of space. Meanwhile, the alien fleet was already advancing toward Earth. Zorath, the Supreme Commander, had received the report. The humans were deploying their final weapon. He watched with a mix of amusement and curiosity. The Titan X was a threat, but Zorath believed that even with its cloaking device and advanced AI, the humans stood no chance against his superior fleet. He had nothing to fear. Yet there was something about the Titan X that intrigued him. It was humanity's desperation, its last-ditch effort to fight back. And Zorath relished the thought of crushing this last hope once and for all. As the Titan X entered the orbit of the alien fleet, Arden's hands tightened on the controls. This was the moment. The ship was invisible to the alien sensors, but the fleet wasn't in position yet. He needed to wait, just a little longer. But every second felt like an eternity. His heart raced. The pressure was unbearable. The mission had only just begun, and already everything was on the line. The quiet hum of the ship's engines was the only sound in the cockpit, the only thing keeping him grounded as the shadows of the enemy fleet loomed just ahead. With a deep breath, Arden spoke, his voice steady despite the fear that bubbled beneath the surface. Prepare to engage the enemy. The Titan X was ready. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin. And for Arden, there was no turning back now. The Titan X drifted silently through the void of space, its cloaking device rendering it invisible to the alien fleet. On the bridge, Captain Arden Voss stood at the helm, his hand steady on the controls as he stared out at the vastness of the enemy fleet ahead. The enemy had no idea what was coming. Zorath, The supreme commander of the alien forces was confident, too confident. He saw humanity as nothing more than an insignificant species, their technology far behind his own. He didn't believe for a second that Earth's forces had anything that could threaten him or his fleet. But in this moment, that belief was about to be shattered. Arden's mind raced. He had spent countless hours analyzing the alien fleet's movements, studying their patterns and weaknesses. Now it was time to strike. The crew was ready. The AI was on full alert. Titan X was Earth's final chance, and they weren't going to waste it. The enemy fleet was a massive force, far larger than any human fleet. Hundreds of ships, each one heavily armed and bristling with advanced weaponry, surrounded the Titan X. They were expecting a fight, but they weren't expecting a fight like this. Zorath's fleet had prepared for everything, except for the humans' ability to outthink them. Arden's voice cut through the silence of the bridge, his tone calm and precise. Initiate stealth attack. The Titan X shifted ever so slightly, its cloaking device rendering it a ghost in the night. The alien fleet was unaware that the Titan X was moving into position. Arden's hand hovered over the control panel, his finger just an inch away from giving the command that would ignite the first strike. His heart pounded in his chest, but he knew there was no turning back. This was it, the moment that would decide humanity's fate. Without warning, the Titan X appeared out of thin air, its weapon systems coming online with deadly precision. In an instant, a high-powered beam shot out from the ship, striking the lead alien battleship squarely in the heart. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending debris scattering across space. The alien fleet, caught off guard by the sudden attack, was thrown into chaos. Zorath, who had been watching from the safety of his flagship, was speechless. His mind raced as he tried to comprehend what had just happened. His fleet was no stranger to human ships, but this was something entirely different. The humans had somehow found a way to outmaneuver him, and it had cost his fleet a valuable battleship in the blink of an eye. His rage flared, a fiery anger that he could hardly contain. "What is this?" Zorath roared, his voice trembling with fury. How could they have such power? He turned to his officers, his eyes burning with fury. "Track that ship. Do not let it escape. Trap it. Destroy it. Now." The alien fleet quickly regrouped, their advanced sensors now locking onto the Titan X. Zorath's rage had clouded his judgment, and he underestimated just how much humanity had evolved. He believed the humans were nothing more than primitive creatures who could never match the strength of his fleet. Now he would learn how wrong he was. On the Titan X, Arden's eyes widened as the alien ships began to move in on their position. The cloaking device was still active, but Zorath's fleet was closing in fast. The Titan X was fast, but it wasn't invincible. The element of surprise had worked, but now the true battle was beginning. Arden's voice was steady, but there was a sharpness to it that betrayed his focused determination. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here." The ship's engines roared to life as the Titan X broke free from the orbit of the alien fleet, darting through space like a phantom. Zorath's fleet was hot on their trail, but the Titan X's AI had already begun analyzing the best way to escape. The ship's weapon systems powered up again, ready for another strike. The Titan X weaved through the vastness of space, dodging enemy fire and making sharp, unexpected turns that confused the alien pilots. The crew of the Titan X was working together as a well-oiled machine, responding to every command with precision. The AI's calculations were flawless, and the crew's experience and instincts were a perfect complement to its cold logic. "Take them down," Arden commanded, his voice firm. The Titan X's massive cannons fired in rapid succession, each shot striking alien ships with deadly accuracy. Alien ships exploded in bursts of fiery light, their once proud hulls torn apart by the might of humanity's superior tactics. The aliens had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. But the alien fleet was vast. For every ship the Titan X took down, two more seemed to appear in its place. Arden's hand gripped the controls tighter. He knew that time was running out. They couldn't keep this up forever. "Captain," one of the crew members shouted, "we have incoming from the left." A squadron of alien fighters appeared from behind an asteroid, closing in fast. They were faster and more agile than the Titan X, and the humans had only seconds to react. Arden's mind raced. He could already feel the heat of the moment. This was the kind of situation he had trained for, but that didn't make it any less terrifying. The fate of humanity rested on their ability to survive this onslaught. "Brace for impact," Arden ordered, his voice calm despite the rising chaos around him. The Titan X was hit, a powerful blast shaking the ship to its core. The hull groaned as the shields flickered, barely holding up under the relentless alien assault. For a moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Arden's mind flashed to his crew, to the faces of the men and women who had put their trust in him. He couldn't afford to fail. Not now. With a quick calculation, Arden ordered a risky maneuver. "Execute evasive turn. Full power to engines. Engage afterburners." The Titan X shot forward, narrowly avoiding a deadly barrage of alien fire. The ship dipped and weaved through the battlefield, its AI calculating each move with ruthless efficiency. The crew worked in perfect synchrony, their movements like clockwork as they evaded more and more attacks. The battle had become a deadly dance. One wrong move, and they would all be lost. Zorath watched in growing disbelief as the humans continued to outmaneuver him. His fleet, once so sure of its dominance, was now scrambling to adapt. The humans had proven themselves to be far more dangerous than he had ever anticipated. With each passing second, Zorath's fury grew. He slammed his fist down on the control panel, his voice laced with venom. "Enough. Trap them. Surround the Titan X, no escape. Destroy it." The alien ships began to close in on the Titan X, surrounding it from all sides. Arden's eyes flickered with determination as he saw the trap closing in. But the humans weren't done yet. They had something the aliens didn't: the will to survive. "Hold steady," Arden whispered to himself. "We're not finished yet." The first true test of humanity's new weapon was far from over. And as the battle raged on, one thing became clear: humanity was no longer the underdog. The Titan X drifted silently in the vast emptiness of space, cloaked and hidden, as the alien fleet moved around it like a predator circling its prey. The battle had been raging for hours, and Captain Arden Voss knew the odds were stacked against them. Every time they took down one of the alien ships, two more seemed to take its place. The odds were too high. They couldn't keep fighting like this forever. The crew on board the Titan X was exhausted. Their hands shook from the tension, their eyes wide with the stress of combat. Despite their advanced technology and tactical superiority, they were still outnumbered. Captain Voss paced on the bridge, his mind racing as he tried to come up with a plan. The cloaking device had given them an advantage, but it wouldn't last forever. The aliens were beginning to adapt to their tactics. The ship's AI buzzed to life, offering a solution. "Captain, we have detected a vulnerability in the enemy fleet. A gap in their formation near the center. It's small, but it's our best chance." Voss's eyes narrowed. The idea was risky. Very risky. A strike in the heart of the alien fleet could be their only chance of survival, but it would come with enormous consequences. The cloaking device was their shield. Without it, they would be exposed. They couldn't rely on it forever. "We don't have much time," Voss muttered, more to himself than anyone else. He turned to his crew. "We're going to strike. We'll use the cloaking device to get close to that gap. Once we're in position, we'll unleash everything we've got." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but they didn't hesitate. They were soldiers, bound by duty, and they knew the stakes. This was the moment where everything would either fall apart or fall into place. If they failed, it would mean the end of humanity's last hope. But as the Titan X began its approach to the alien fleet, something went wrong. The cloaking device flickered and then completely shut down. The ship was exposed to the full wrath of the alien fleet. The Titan X had become a visible target, and there was no time to react. The alien ships immediately locked on and fired, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. "Shields up!" Arden shouted as the Titan X was rocked by a blast that sent shockwaves through the ship. The crew held on tight as the ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the walls, and the lights flickered. The ship's AI scrambled to reconfigure the shields, but the power drain was too much. The cloaking device had been their ace in the hole, and now it was gone. "We're exposed," one of the crew members shouted, panic creeping into his voice. Arden's mind raced. They needed to move, but the alien fleet was closing in fast. If they stayed in the open, they would be destroyed. His eyes locked onto the display screen, showing the enemy ships coming closer by the second. The pressure was mounting, and time was running out. "Evasive maneuvers," Arden ordered. "Get us out of here." But the Titan X wasn't fast enough. The alien fleet had already surrounded them, and no amount of evasive maneuvering would stop the incoming barrage. The weapons fire lit up the sky as Titan X was pummeled by the alien cannons. Explosions ripped through the hull, and the ship groaned under the strain. The crew held their breath, waiting for the inevitable. And then, in the midst of the chaos, a voice cut through the tension. "Captain, I have a suggestion." Arden turned to see Bonner, one of his most trusted crew members, stepping forward. Bonner had been with him through countless missions, and his calm demeanor under pressure had saved them more than once. But this time, what he proposed was something no one had considered. "I'll do it," Bonner said. "I'll take the Titan X's self-destruct device and use it on the alien mothership. We can't escape. We can't survive this. But if I do this, I can at least take one of their ships with me. It might give the rest of you a chance to escape." Arden's heart sank as he heard Bonner's words. It was the ultimate sacrifice. Bonner was offering his life to save the crew, but Arden couldn't accept it. Not like this. "No," Arden said sharply. "We'll find another way. There has to be another way." Bonner's expression remained calm, but there was a glint of determination in his eyes. "Captain, I've seen the writing on the wall. The Titan X is not going to make it out of this fight. But you can. The crew can. This is the only way." Arden opened his mouth to argue, but Bonner silenced him with a single look. "You know it's true." The tension in the room was palpable. Every crew member on the Titan X had known that this moment might come. They had prepared for it, but none of them had ever expected to face it. Now, Bonner was ready to give everything for the mission, for humanity's survival. The seconds ticked by, but to Arden, they felt like hours. The ship was still taking damage, the alien fleet closing in fast. There was no more time for hesitation. "Bonner," Arden said, his voice soft but steady, "if you're going to do this, I'll make sure the world knows what you did. You won't be forgotten." Bonner smiled, a bittersweet look in his eyes. "It's not about that, Captain. It's about giving the rest of you a chance." With that, Bonner turned and headed for the self-destruct chamber. The rest of the crew stood silent, watching him go, knowing what he was about to do. There was no coming back from this. As Bonner activated the self-destruct sequence, the crew braced themselves for the inevitable explosion. The Titan X was going to be a weapon of destruction, even if it meant the end of their mission. They would take as many of the alien ships with them as possible. Bonner had made sure of that. Back on the bridge, Arden could only watch as the countdown began. His mind flashed to his family, to his home, to everything he had ever known. In a few minutes, it would all be gone. But he had no other choice. Bonner had made the ultimate sacrifice, and he had to honor it. 5, 4, the AI's voice counted down. Arden closed his eyes, holding on to the memories of his crew, of humanity's fight for survival. They had come so far, and they weren't going to give up now. 3, 2, 1. The explosion that followed was nothing short of catastrophic. The shockwave rocked the entire battlefield, and the alien fleet was momentarily stunned. In that instant, the Titan X, with its self-destruct payload, had destroyed the heart of the alien fleet. The mothership was no more. But at what cost? Bonner's sacrifice had bought the crew some time. The remaining humans, including Captain Arden Voss, had one last chance to survive, but the road ahead would not be easy. The battle was far from over, and they had to move quickly if they wanted to live. As the remnants of the Titan X flickered on the screen, Arden whispered, "Rest in peace, Bonner. We'll finish this." With renewed determination, they prepared for what was next. The fight was far from over, but they would carry on. For Bonner, for humanity, and for the future. The Titan X was nothing but a floating husk, its hull battered and torn from the brutal barrage of alien fire. Yet despite everything, the ship still hung in the vacuum of space, defiant. Bonner's sacrifice had shattered the alien fleet's formation, leaving them stunned for a moment, but the battle was far from over. The alien ships quickly regrouped, their firepower now focused on the lone Titan X, which was outgunned, outnumbered, and running low on resources. Captain Arden Voss stood in front of the main console, his eyes locked on the strategic display. The damage reports were coming in fast. Systems were failing, shields were down, and engines were barely functional. But the Titan X wasn't out of options yet. As long as they had breath, they could still fight. And they would fight, to the bitter end, if necessary. "We can't keep going like this," Voss muttered, his voice heavy with the weight of his command. "We need a miracle." The ship's AI, the quantum system that had been the backbone of Titan X's technological supremacy, spoke up, its calm voice echoing in the chaos. "Captain, there is one option left. The experimental overdrive mode. It will push the ship's systems beyond their limits and place us into quantum hyperspeed combat mode." Voss looked at the readout on the screen, analyzing the data. The overdrive was untested, a last resort measure. It had been designed to give them the edge in battle, pushing the ship's engines, weapons, and AI into a level of efficiency and power that was beyond human capability. But there was a cost. The ship could burn out. The systems could fail. And if they were pushed too far, the Titan X might become a casualty of its own power. "Do it," Captain Voss said, his voice unwavering. As the order was given, a hum filled the bridge of the Titan X, and the ship seemed to come alive in ways it never had before. The entire hull shuddered as power surged through the ship's systems, bypassing safety protocols and pushing everything into overdrive. The crew felt the change instantly. The air around them crackled with energy. They were moving faster than they ever had before. The AI's voice came through, now tinged with excitement. "Captain, we are now in quantum hyperspeed combat mode. All systems are operating at maximum efficiency. We can engage at speeds and precision levels that no alien ship can match." For a brief moment, the crew allowed themselves to feel a flicker of hope. But then the sound of alien warships closing in quickly reminded them that they weren't out of danger yet. The first of the alien ships fired, but the shot missed, far off, as if the Titan X had suddenly disappeared into the fabric of space itself. With the overdrive activated, the Titan X was now capable of maneuvering at incredible speeds, darting between enemy ships in a way that should have been impossible. Captain Voss gripped the console, feeling the ship move beneath him like a living creature. "Target their weak points," he ordered. "We take them one by one." The first alien warship that attempted to retaliate found itself caught in the crosshairs of the Titan X's advanced weaponry. The ship's AI, now operating with a hyper-intelligent decision-making system, calculated the exact timing and trajectory needed for a successful strike. The Titan X's cannons opened fire with devastating precision, its shots penetrating the alien vessel's shields before tearing through its hull. It exploded in a fiery burst, its remains scattering into space. The battle had shifted. The alien fleet, still recovering from Bonner's self-sacrifice, now found itself under siege. One by one, the massive warships that had once seemed invincible were torn apart by the relentless assault of the Titan X. The crew watched in awe as the ship maneuvered with impossible speed, each attack perfectly timed and executed. The Titan X moved like a shadow, slipping in and out of the fight with ease, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. But as the minutes passed, the strain of the overdrive began to show. The ship's systems, pushed far beyond their limits, began to show signs of failure. The lights flickered. The engines sputtered. The weapons, once precise and powerful, began to lose their accuracy. The Titan X was still fighting, but at a cost. The ship was breaking down. "Captain," the AI's voice called out, now strained. "The systems are overheating. We can't maintain this pace for much longer." Voss clenched his teeth, knowing the price they were paying. The overdrive was working, but it was also draining the life out of the Titan X. Every shot fired, every evasive maneuver took more energy than the ship had left. "We've got to finish this," Voss said, determination burning in his eyes. "Push us further. We can't stop now." The crew could see it in his eyes. There was no turning back. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to back down now. The Titan X was humanity's last hope. They would fight to the end. In the midst of the chaotic battle, the Titan X made one final push. Its weapons, though unstable, struck the heart of the remaining alien fleet. One of the alien motherships, their largest and most powerful vessel, became the next target. With a brilliant flash, the Titan X's primary weapon fired, tearing through the alien ship's defenses and ripping it apart from the inside out. As the mothership exploded, the remaining alien ships hesitated. For a brief moment, they faltered. The Titan X had done the impossible. It had brought down their most formidable force. The aliens' confidence was shattered, their arrogance destroyed. For the first time, they saw the true strength of humanity, and it terrified them. But Captain Voss knew the fight wasn't over. There were still too many ships left. And Titan X, though victorious in its own way, was beginning to fall apart. The overdrive had pushed the ship to the brink of destruction. The AI's warnings were growing more frequent, its voice becoming more strained. "Captain, we are reaching critical levels. The engines are about to fail. I recommend immediate retreat." Voss's hand hovered over the controls. He knew what he had to do, but he wasn't sure if they could make it out alive. The Titan X had done more than anyone had ever dreamed possible. It had taken on an entire alien fleet and emerged victorious. But now, they were running on borrowed time. "All crew, brace for final jump," Voss ordered. The Titan X, battered and burning, turned toward the edge of the battlefield. The alien fleet, now unsure of its victory, hesitated, unable to predict what humanity would do next. The Titan X's engines roared to life one final time as Captain Voss activated the emergency jump. The ship shot forward, disappearing into the depths of space in a brilliant flash of light. The Titan X, its systems exhausted and its hull barely intact, had made its final stand. On the battlefield, the alien fleet was left in stunned silence. The warship they had mocked, the one they thought was nothing more than a joke, had delivered the ultimate blow to their forces. And in the end, humanity had shown them what true courage and determination looked like. As the Titan X vanished into the unknown, Captain Voss's last message echoed in the cold silence of space. "Humanity never bows down to tyrants." That simple phrase, filled with both defiance and hope, resonated through the stars, marking the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's struggle for survival. The atmosphere was tense. A battle that had stretched over days was now coming to its most critical moment. Captain Arden Voss and the crew of the Titan X had managed to achieve the impossible, surviving against an overwhelming alien force, outsmarting them at every turn. However, the war was far from over. The alien Supreme Commander, Zorath, was not one to back down. His pride, His lust for control was unshakable. He had watched his fleet fall apart, and now, with the remnants of his forces, he was determined to personally destroy the Titan X and wipe humanity's resistance from the stars. Zorath's flagship, a colossal vessel that stood as a symbol of the alien empire's superiority, drifted into view. It was massive, its surface gleaming like dark glass, sharp edges cutting through the fabric of space. From its hull radiated an aura of arrogance. The flagship was a behemoth, far more advanced than anything the human forces had, and Zorath himself stood at the helm, eager for the final battle. But what he did not know was that Captain Voss had been waiting for this moment. Voss had anticipated Zorath's move, knowing the alien commander's ego would drive him to take this final step. The Titan X was barely holding together, its systems on the brink of collapse, but it had one last ace up its sleeve, an ace that would turn the tables on the arrogant alien fleet. "Captain, the alien flagship is entering range," the AI's voice echoed in the control room. "We can initiate the ambush at your command." Voss looked out through the main viewport, seeing Zorath's flagship growing larger, the very symbol of the alien empire's might. The air in the bridge grew heavy, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The ship was battered, the crew exhausted, but they were still human. And against all odds, they were still standing. "Let's make this count," Captain Voss said, his voice steady but filled with determination. "Engage the trap." The Titan X, despite its extensive damage, had been positioned perfectly for this moment. Hidden behind a nearby asteroid field, the human crew had set up an elaborate trap, using the very terrain of space to mask their position. The remaining alien ships, distracted by their pursuit of the Titan X, had no idea what was coming. The crew worked with precise synchronization, activating the cloaking device one final time, turning the Titan X into a ghost in space. As the flagship drew closer, Zorath's ship was caught unaware. The Titan X dropped its cloak, appearing from behind the asteroid field like a phantom, faster and more agile than anything the aliens had faced before. With a clear line of sight, Captain Voss gave the order. "Now."